Hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe, and today we are going to be looking at the defensive backs that are coming out in the 2024 NFL Draft. We're going to look at a big list of cornerbacks, a big list of safeties, and then we're going to look deeper into a few of them that may be on the Saints' radar this year. The draft is coming up a couple of months away. Now, I'm not a draft expert. I'm a Saints fan. I'm like the coworker or the next door neighbor that you have, and every time you see me, you know we're going to talk about the Saints. Well, I'm the guy that takes enough time to look into the draft and try to observe as much as I can without getting paid to do it, without having all day, every day to do it. But I look into it enough. So I'm the Saints fan that you can talk to about the draft. I'm not the expert. If you guys want expert analysis, there are plenty of channels out there that have access to the film, possibly get paid, or have way more time than I do and resources to do all of this investigation. I do a preliminary investigation, and I let you guys know pretty much some face value stuff. And then from there, you can go and investigate deeper if you'd like. But think of me as a Saints fan who's very interested in this stuff and who's going to give you the broad strokes. And hopefully you guys will enjoy this channel and enjoy this series. I'm going to try to touch on all of the positions in this year's draft. So let's get started with the quarterbacks. And I've got a big list here. There's 30 names here. It's pretty much a consensus. These players are not in exact order. I may have favorites, and if it was my list, it would be arranged differently. But these are 30 of the top cornerbacks coming out. And besides the measurables of height and weight, I've also indicated around which round they are expected to be drafted. So I put the big list up first, and you guys can take a look at that. It's there always. Pause the video if you have to. And now we're going to talk about some players that might interest the Saints. Starting with the top 5 on this list. And they are pretty much the surefire first round picks on everybody's board. We're going to start with Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, 6 foot, 180 pounds. If I highlight a player for the Saints, this player is going to have to be pretty competent at press man on the outside. And if he shows good balance between zone and man, then I'll indicate it as well. But most of these guys are good at press man, and so that's what we primarily run the Saints Dennis Allen defense. As far as stereotypes go for the cornerbacks, we like them tall, we like them long, and we like them a little thick so they don't get punished at the line of scrimmage. Terrion Arnold is right at that level, 6 foot, 180 pounds, might be a little light, but he's a massively talented dude, will probably be the first cornerback taken. And if he falls to us at pick 14, it would not shock me that the Saints go this route. Now, as far as cornerback goes, I think it's a need for the Saints. I think that it's a need that we get some more outside help, especially if we're going to trade Marshawn Lattimore. But if we keep Marshawn Lattimore, especially if we re-sign Isaac Yiadom, then we'll have 4 really good outside cornerbacks, and it won't be a need for the Saints at all. But I think the writing's on the wall. We're going to trade Lattimore at some point this offseason. And we've got our starters in place, I think, already with Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor. You re-sign Isaac Yiadom, and you'll have your number 3 outside corner. And so outside corner becomes a depth piece if you're going to address it, more so than a stud that is desperately needed. I know letting Lattimore go, you're losing a stud, but I think you can be a pretty good defense with Adebo and Taylor on the outside. And you got a depth piece, and Yiadom's already shown he can play half the season and produce very well. So you go and grab a guy with the 14th overall pick, he's going to have to be a stud with all of the other positions of need that we could address. So there you go. I broke down cornerback as it is for the Saints. We desperately need a nickelback. Now, all of these guys in the draft, you can project to play nickel. And good luck with that. Some of them are really good at it. So, if we draft a cornerback at 14, I expect them to play, and I expect them to play on the outside. Same goes with my number 2 guy, Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, the star at the Senior Bowl. Everybody wanted to see if he could perform well, press man against these wide receivers coming out in the draft that were at the Senior Bowl, and Mitchell did a great job. Was the star of the show. Everyone's sold that he can do it now. 6 foot, 199 pounds. I don't think he's a reach anymore at 14 for the Saints. He may be taken ahead of Terrion Arnold. That Senior Bowl effort has vaulted Mitchell into the top of this list. I would have said he was number 4 or 5 before the Senior Bowl, and now he's either 1 or 2. And another guy that's right there at the top of the list, Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. 6'2", but only 170 pounds. Wiggins seems a little light to me to ask him to play press man all day long. I don't have him as a highlighted player for the Saints. I think if he's there at pick 14, and Dennis Allen decides to grab him, well, then they're going to see a lot in him. And I do expect him to be a good cornerback in this league. He's right there. He's at the top. He's among the top 5. I think the Saints are going to have him, a little lower on their board. And it's because he's so light. Next on the list is Kool-Aid McKinstry. 6 foot, 180 pounds. Same size, same weight as his teammate Terrion Arnold. Kool-Aid McKinstry has been on the top of draft boards his entire college career, and it remains the same. He's projected to go in the first round, and he's good at a lot. He's good at a little bit of everything, and he could play outside press for us. If he's there at 14, it wouldn't shock me that the Saints grab him, even though outside cornerback might not be a glaring position of need. Last on this list of the top 5 corners coming out is Cooper DeJean. DeJean. He's DeJean to me because I'm from Louisiana Shat. He's out of Iowa. 6'2", 195 pounds. Massive dude. Great movement skills. He can play anywheres. We can put him on the outside. We can put him at safety. But where I like Cooper DeJean the most is at nickelback, of course. We draft him at pick 14. I expect him to play nickel. I expect him to be out there 60 to 80% of the plays. And I don't expect it to be a reach at all because he is so versatile. He can play in so many roles. But what we need in the secondary more than anything right now is a nickelback. Nobody's worth picking at pick 14, projected to just play nickel, except Cooper DeJean in my eyes. And if we grab him at 14, I'm not going to I'm not going to be too pissed about it. So those are the top 5 cornerbacks in this draft. All 5 of them could be taken with the Saints at pick 14 for the Saints. So that's your heads up. I think Cooper DeJean would be a great pick because we need a nickel back. You don't draft nickel at pick 14. But if we keep Marshawn Lattimore, we're likely not spending this first round pick on a cornerback anyway. I'm going to mention a few other guys at cornerback, though, that the Saints could be interested in. We're going to start with T.J. Tampa out of Iowa State. 6'1", 198 pounds. He's projected to go in the second round, and he fits what the Saints like to do. He would not surprise me if he's picked by the Saints. It would not surprise me at all. Another guy that I'm going to mention here, I think fits the Saints on the outside very well. Colleen Carson out of Wake Forest, 6 foot, 195 pounds. Not a lot of people are talking about this guy, and he's projected to go in the second or third round. I think he fits the Saints very well, and I think it's somebody that the Saints could look at. Now, right now, the Saints only have a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and then we don't pick again to the fifth round. So in order to get a lot of these guys that I'm about to mention, you're going to have to acquire picks in the mid-rounds. Or you're going to have to reach for them with your second-round pick. I don't like that idea too much unless they're, guaranteed a nickel spot. Chris Abrams-Draine out of Missouri. 5'11", 179 pounds. He's a touch short, touch light. He projects to be a pretty good nickel, though. He may not be drafted until the third round. Like I say, if the Saints reach for a guy in the second round, I'm going to expect for him to start at nickel for sure. And Abrams-Draine is at the top of that list of best potential nickelbacks. I think the best nickelback in this draft, if you're not grabbing Cooper DeJean, would be Mike Sainristil out of Michigan. 5'9", 184 pounds. This is the reason Sainristil is going to last till the second or third round, because he doesn't have that ideal size to be able to play on the outside press man all the time. I'm assuming he's a little light for lots of teams, but he was very active at Michigan. He's got a nose for the ball. And yeah, he's my top nickelback guy after Cooper DeJean. So Mike Sainristil with the second round pick wouldn't be a reach for me. If you acquire mid-round picks and you can grab them in the top of the third round, that would be a steal. Another guy I'm going to highlight here, Josh Newton out of TCU. He was a highly rated player, and he's fallen down the boards a lot. Once projected to be late first, second round. Now I'm thinking late second, third round. 5'10", 188 pounds. He's got the ability to do it on the outside. But I think he would make a pretty good nickelback, in my opinion. And he is a forgotten guy, so it would not surprise me to see Newton in the third round. A guy that's rising up the draft boards right now because of a strong Senior Bowl is cornerback Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. 6'2", 203 pounds. He's a big boy, and he showed in the Senior Bowl that he can be pretty quick, pretty fast, and he can hang with the big boys on the outside. So he's our prototype, our stereotype for sure. He's projected to go in the second or third round now. He was a fourth or fifth round projection before. I don't expect the Saints to reach with the second round pick for Cam Hart. Like I said before, if Allen identifies a guy and we grab him in the second round, I'm going to assume that they see something in him that's worth the gamble. But to me, Hart is a high riser right now and would be a great third or fourth round pick for the Saints. Let's look at Charles Smith-Wade out of Washington State. 5'11", 176 pounds. I expect Wade to go in the 4th round, but people may want to take a chance on him in the 3rd. I think he's got the skill set we could use, especially at nickel. A guy that I really like in the draft, Dwight McGlothern out of Arkansas. 6'2", 188 pounds, former LSU Tiger. He is big time forgotten about in this draft. No one's expecting him to get drafted till the 5th or 6th round. And I think it's a steal if you grab him in the 5th round. So, not sure if after the scouting combine and the pro days, if his stock doesn't rise dramatically. But I'm highlighting him here because, yeah, he's been at the bottom of these boards all season long for college. So I like him though, and 4th or 5th round pick in my opinion. And I'm going to highlight a couple of other guys here that would be perfect for the nickel spot for our team. Johnny Dixon out of Penn State, 5'11", 198 pounds. He's expected to be drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. And I like him because of his projected ability to be a solid nickelback. That's something the Saints need. We're not going to go with Alontae Taylor at nickel anymore. We'll probably re-sign Ugo Amadi, and he'll be our initial nickel. Then I think the Saints are going to hit free agency and try to grab a veteran nickel, somebody that has a little more ability than Amadi. But I'm telling you, Ugo Amadi's a pretty good cat. You get a veteran in here to compete with Amadi. And then if you draft, yeah, I think if you keep Marshawn Lattimore, you still need to grab a corner. And I think focusing at nickel at the cornerback position is necessary for the Saints. I expect them to focus on that more than an outside guy. Johnny Dixon predicted to go in the 4th round, probably. And another guy that projects nickel for me very well for the Saints, Jarrian Jones out of Florida State. 6 foot, 191 pounds. He's pegged to go in the 5th round. And the Saints we're probably going to end up with about 4 5th round picks. Chances are we'll package a couple of them and try to get into the 4th round and grab people. We do not have a lot of draft picks this year. But like I said, the cornerback list here is huge. And it would be almost a crime to come out of this draft without a cornerback, especially when you are that thin at nickel. That's my focus for the Saints. Now we're going to pull up a big list of safeties in the draft. And this is a list of about 20 of them. The highest rated guys, consensus. I have their height. I have their weight. And as far as fit for the Saints, we're going to focus in on a couple of them. Starting with the top guys, Cameron Kitchens out of Miami. 5'11", 201 pounds. He's one of the only 2 safeties that may go in the 1st round. Most of these safeties are projected 2nd round pick. The top guys, 2nd or 3rd round pick. So Cameron Kitchens, he would fit the Saints well. I don't want us spending the 14th overall pick on him for sure. But if you grab him in the 2nd round, I won't be too upset. As far as safety goes for the Saints, I think it's a green-lit priority for the Saints. We've got 2 starting safeties that are older. Tyrann Mathieu, all 5'9" of them. He'll probably, in my opinion, I think he's going to retire after this contract. So you've got Jordan Howden, who can become your starter eventually. I think Howden showed a lot at safety this year. And I think he's primed to take the place of either Mathieu or Marcus May. We may cut May loose before next season starts because he was injured, and when he did play, he was okay. I found that we had just as much production out of Howden and out of our backups. When Lonnie Johnson was healthy, he was doing a good job at cornerback and safety, as well as Jonathan Abram. And, we're probably going to bring some of these free agent veterans back. I think they did well. And the Saints secondary performed very well with these veteran backups. So that's your situation at safety. Cameron Kinchens is the highest rated guy. And next on the board is Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. Well, that's where Jordan Howden came from. And they have playing experience together. Nubin, 6'2", 210 pounds. Nubin's pretty impressive. I think overall, I have him slightly higher than Kinchens. On my board, I would not be surprised if Nubin gets taken into the first round. Certainly he'll be taken in the second round. That's where I have him pinned for the Saints to take. 45th overall pick. If it happens, I'm not going to be too upset. Next, I'm going to mention Javon Bullard out of Georgia, 5'11", 180 pounds. I don't think he fits into the Saints very well. He is a second to third round projection. I just don't know. I mean, if the Saints see something there, I was kind of interested in him as possibly being, a safety for us, but I think he'll have to fit a specific role. Colin Bullock out of USC, 6'2", 175 pounds. He's got the length for sure. Projected to go in the second or third round. I don't think he fits the Saints very well either, even though he's a highly regarded player. There's some fluctuations here in the draft boards right now with Bullock and with Bullard. Not quite sure where they're going to go, anywhere from the second round to the fourth round. A guy that's rising the boards pretty quickly, Jaden Hicks out of Washington State. I think overall I like Hicks better than Bullard or Bullock. I would have Hicks as the number 3 guy on my board. 6'2", 195 pounds. He's still projected to go from the second or third round. I like him. I just don't know if there's a spot for him for the Saints. There is. I have faith in our coaching staff with DBs. If we draft Hicks, they'll see something I don't see. Like I said, I get excited about guys that can potentially play nickelback as well. And that's why I have this man so high up on my board. Cole Bishop out of Utah, 6'3", 200 pounds. He's so versatile. If you want him to come down and stop the run, he's got you. He's the biggest. He's him and Tyler Nubin are pretty big dudes. I like what Bishop brings to the table as far as run support, and I like his versatility at safety when he's at the safety spot to be able to play deep or to come in the box. But what I like the most about him is his coverage ability from the slot. Now, the Saints have an issue with tight ends. When we're on defense, it's as if we don't have a guy that can match up with tight ends. We saw everybody get beat by tight ends this year, especially the nickelback. And a lot of times the nickels asked to cover, a slot receiver and then a running back and then a tight end. Cole Bishop is the man that's going to cover the tight end for you. He shut down the tight ends at the Senior Bowl practices so well that he's not a little secret anymore. I thought for sure we could grab Cole Bishop in the 5th round and everybody could just ignore him, but no. Bishop's probably going to go in the 2nd round, 3rd round, or 4th round. And if that's the case, the Saints are going to have to grab him high with the 2nd round pick or acquire mid-round picks so you can have yourself some really good players like Cole Bishop out of Utah, who I love. Give me a man that can cover the tight end, please. I also like safety Tyke Smith out of Georgia. 5'10", 205 pounds. He fits us well. I think he's an ideal nickel guy for us. A touch short at 5'10", but he is projected to go in the third round. And yeah, he would be a reach for the Saints at the second round. God, I hope the Saints can pick up some third and fourth round picks. I hope we trade down somehow, some way, and acquire some mid-round picks. So these great guys that fit our team won't slip through the cracks. Another guy I'm pretty high on is Beau Brade out of Maryland. 6 foot, 200 pounds. I think he fits what we want out of safety pretty good. He's projected to go in the third or fourth round. I'm also going to mention here Josh Proctor out of Ohio State. Denzel Burke was a cornerback out of Ohio State, decided to go back to Ohio State. They are going to be a very good team this year. They had so many people that could have came out in the draft, good 6 or 8 of them, that decided to go back to school. I think Ohio State's looking to win that championship this year. Better watch out for my LSU. But Josh Proctor, and you know the Saints love Ohio State players, so Josh Proctor's a guy that wouldn't shock me for the Saints to take him pretty early. Now, he's currently projected to go in the 4th round, 5th round. I know he's going to rise on the boards higher than that. 6'1", 198 pounds. I like what he can bring to the Saints. It's not just the Ohio State thing. You like players from big programs, though, who have had to face big competition. So I'm putting a highlight here for Proctor. And I'm also going to mention Max Melton out of Rutgers. 6 foot, 190 pounds. He is another guy that is projected to go in the 2nd or 3rd round. He's a guy that the Saints could reach for. 6 foot, 190 pounds. I mean, he projects to be really good at the nickel, and that's what I'm looking for here with these safeties and DBs, most of all, because that's what the Saints need most of all. Yeah, Melton, 3rd or 4th round projection. We don't currently have 3rd or 4th round picks. So a lot of these guys who I think fit the Saints, could be reached for in the 2nd round. The last guy I'm going to mention, Sione Vaki out of Utah. 6 foot, 208 pounds. He's just okay at safety. There's a lot of potential there. I think there's playmaking ability here. But what impresses everyone so much about Vaki is his ability to play offense and defense, and he's a pretty good running back. 6 foot, 208 pounds. He's got the size. I'm going to say that Vaki's going to be taken somewheres in the 3rd round. I wouldn't want to mess with him as a safety until the 4th round, 5th round. But, an athlete like that, it's not a crazy deep running back draft class this year. So if you project Vaki to be an athlete, then he's a consideration as well. So there you go. That's my big breakdown of the defensive backs. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I'll look enough into it, and that way I can bring you some face value here. And if you like talking Saints with me, I'm the guy that you can just, hey, there's Joe. Hey, what you think about them Saints? Well, I'll let you know what I think they could do in the draft. And if you want expert analysis, you can go somewhere else. But if you just want a friend to talk to, subscribe to Rosenfeld 10. I'm Joe. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be doing all of the position groups. And until then, I'll talk to you later.